Good morning. I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome. Nice to see everybody. Almost doesn't feel like it's fall. It's a beautiful day out there, but it is fall and feel almost like the countdown is on and wrapping up our first year. So we'll see if we can wrap things up and meet our goal. So having a look at the agenda, anything any members want to add or modify? Everybody has a copy of the agenda? If there are no changes, I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda. Ruth Ann? Okay. Oh, no, Ruth Ann.
It's okay, Tom.
So it's Monday morning, right? Wake up. So Ruth Ann is moved, and Jamie, did I see a wave? Yes. So we have a seconder. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes. If you've had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting was on August 23rd. Any errors or omissions? Pretty good. Thank you for putting those together. So may I have a mover and seconder then? Jim? Okay. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, let's move on to our donation update. Welcome, Jennifer.
Good morning, everyone. Before you is the report regarding the fundraising financials to the end of September 23rd. And the major change, there wasn't a lot of expenses, but the major changes were more revenue came in. So we had an increase of $14,451. And the odd number is because we deducted the fees for the cost of the credit cards. When that comes in, it comes off the card. So the amount that has been totally brought in now so far towards the campaign, including outstanding donations and pledges, is $193,517. On page 2, it's just a breakdown of donations that needed to be pledged in those years, the outlying years. And again, we have some colored there, some red and some blue, indicating potential costs in outlying years, and red and blue just reallocated throughout the campaign life, which is the 3 years of the campaign. In your percentage of expense to donation revenue, so right now you're at 8.66%. And the percentage of your annual fundraising goal is at 55%. So that's half of where you want to be. So that's good. And that's pretty much everything for the financials at this point. If there's any questions?
No, I don't think so.
We've passed the 50%. We're at 55.
That's good.
It's excellent. And the nice thing also, I think everyone's aware of the most recent Aylmer Area Community Foundation donation, the grant that we applied for, and we were successful. We put in 5,000 for this year because it is a pledge, 5,000 for this year and 5,000 for next year. So although it may not show on, all of it on this year's, we keep increasing our amounts for year 2 and year 3. So we're going to start next year, ahead of the game. So that's nice.
Yes, and one of the things I did do, which I should mention, is Malahide sent us a check for the the meeting room that we paid. And I put that under pledges as well because it's like an in-kind donation.
Right. Okay. So that's nice. So it's a form of reimbursement, but through an in-kind donation. Perfect. Nice. Every dollar counts.
Exactly.
From the beginning. So wonderful. So if there are no questions, I know we'll discuss a few of the specific donors and donations in our closed session. But for now, on this report, the comments, and congratulations, everybody, for keep going. And many thanks to Jennifer for keeping us on track. And even when we make some errors in entries, I don't know who would do that. But I appreciate the,
It's all good to review it every month and we can stay on top of those things, so.
yes. So we're a good team. So thank you for that. May I have a motion to receive the report? Jamie, seconder, Ruth Ann, all in favor to receive and file the report? It's carried. Thank you so much. Have a good week. Okay, moving on to media and advertising update. So you probably saw, so at our last meeting, we had a couple of options for the lifelong learning campaign. And so those ads have been, I think we're on number 3, so there's one more left. So once again, they're looking really good and we've been able to promote them and reuse them in for social media, and you're welcome to those. I don't know, Catherine, did we get a JPEG for this week's, the one that just came out, I guess, last Wednesday?
No, I haven't, but I just put it on my list to reach out and get that from the Elmer Express.
Okay, and if not, I think I can create one from the PDF, but we'll make sure you have the latest one as well, if you want to use that one. So just around the corner, then will be our next theme. And I know initially, so I just wanted to check with the committee. Initially, we were thinking of doing something, because it will start just after Thanksgiving, because we sort of postponed the fall one, so it wouldn't start in the middle of summer. So initially the thought was to do something around sort of cozying up around the fireplace. And so I don't know if you have any other ideas, because it will be a little bit, I think the first ad will be just after Thanksgiving. And we also only have one fireplace left. I mean, we still have one, so we could still kind of use that theme, maybe with the, the lounge chairs.
I was gonna say the chairs go with the fireplace.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
So if we already have the fireplace, but seating, so it can
Yeah.
still work.
Any thoughts on that? I don't know, Tanya or Michelle, like kind of what would go well, sort of looking at the list. We can promote the guest suite as well. I wasn't sure if we wanted to promote that around Christmas. Does that make more sense, or do we want to sort of do the Thanksgiving-ish theme and focus around the family gatherings? So Michelle's nodding.
Yeah, and I wondered have we done the family dining suite yet? Have we done that one?
No,
Just
That would
thinking
be good for
Thanksgiving and
Thanksgiving.
gathering, but I mean, the timing, yeah.
yeah, so it's a little bit, like I said, I think it will be just the Wednesday after Thanksgiving. So we could still do,
So it's after Thanksgiving, not for Thanksgiving.
right?
But you're moving into Christmas, so family gathering for Christmas.
Because we could, I'm trying to think what else goes with the sort of the fall cozying up, with the lounge chair, the fireplace. And then, because then in the Christmas campaign, we'll start at the end of November.
Do they need anything else for the library?
Right.
The library, like when it gets cold and the
Yeah.
fire and books and I don't know what else goes in the library besides the bookcases, but.
So we could, if we want to separate the guest suite and so the family dining, because I think we're still looking for I think they're folding tables for indoors, right? So folding tables, stackable chairs. So do you see those for gatherings or for more like events around Christmas? Like I'm trying to think, one could be more around events and one could be more around family. So we could, and cozying up. What do you think, would the theme around Christmas be more around events? Like
I-
Go ahead.
I would,
Go ahead, Tanya.
yeah, I think what Michelle was mentioning about the family dining around Thanksgiving would
Yeah.
be nice. And then at Christmas, there tends to be more, events. So I agree with perhaps the chairs and, anything to promote Christmas events where, people are kind of gathering in a common space. Obviously, maybe not this year, but for the campaign, I think.
Do we have anything in place for someone to give a donation as a Christmas gift?
I think it's gonna be at our next meeting around the fundraising strategies. Yes,
I wonder,
Yes, because
we could promote
For
that
sure.
as part of the,
yes, so that's, so I know the committee had expressed interest on making sure we can make that happen, and we just need to figure out the logistics of how that worked with our system, but definitely it's gonna be ready for this year's Christmas season, where you can make a donation as a gift on behalf of somebody else. So it just needs 2 cards, like we're thinking, obviously there's a thank you card to the actual donor, but then there's like a Christmas card that goes to the recipient on whose behalf the donation's been made. So that's definitely on the agenda. Okay, well, we can have a look at the list. So I think we can go with that fall sort of cozy up, maybe some of, I don't know, Tanya, if that makes sense, like some of the arts and activities. And like could go with the fall, and you come back in, and instead of, it's a change from all the outdoor activities, you do more activities indoors. Okay, and then we'll do more of the events, tables and chairs and anything else that supports that towards the Christmas season. There was, I did give a presentation for the South Dorchester Optimist Club. And one thing they pointed out, they're interested in looking at the list, even the broader list, to see if there are other items. But they made a very good point that they said, like, sometimes some of our items or some of the activities may be more female oriented. And they were talking about making sure that, some of the, either some of the nooks or some of the outdoors, like in the courtyard, items would be, would enable men to sort of, use tools or tinker. They said, and somebody was mentioning another home, and I haven't had a chance to follow up to see where, but apparently they have kind of the half a car, like the front of a car, like an old 60s car in their courtyard. And, they, obviously it's not operating, but you can sort of tinker and, but yeah, so when they were looking at the list and thinking of, gardening and bird feeders, and they felt that, not to say that men are not into birds and flowers and, and gardening, but sometimes it just, and some of the arts and crafts. I was curious if staff, you had any comment on that and any suggestions? Or if you find that maybe the arts activities are equally interesting to our male residents. And Jim?
Yes, for me, being on a golf course, the most fun is riding around in the golf cart. But there are a lot of people that do golf who might eventually end up there. I just wondered about having a couple of putting green type holes, that it wouldn't take much of an expense to just to find the area and put a hole in the ground. I don't know whether I just came to me now. You were talking about male, although
Yeah.
just about as many women golf too, I'm sure.
Good idea.
I just have a question for Michelle. Is that a safety issue?
So we at Alchemator, we did have the sort of mini golf course area, and we found initially it was well utilized, but over the years, just some of the challenges with mobility and balance, it became something that wasn't well utilized. But there's an opportunity to have a discussion around that for sure. I know a lot of the men do enjoy the gardening, and Tanya, you can jump in on that, but there's a lot that are quite involved in any kind of gardening activities, whether it's the planter boxes or something at a ground level for those that are able. So that is well utilized. But you make a good point. We want to make sure that we're providing equal opportunity for all of our residents for activities. So we'll put our thinking caps on to see if there's something else that we maybe want to utilize. And I think there's some indoor and outdoor, Jim, to your point, opportunities for some putting, and whether it's something's permanent or whether we just have something that we can take up and put down and utilize when we have residents that are able to optimize those types of opportunities. Tanya, I don't know if you have any further comments.
I agree. I think I have worked for a few homes that did have the car out, like the partial older car. Just think there are a few like safety issues or concerns around, like because it gets rusty or it's older, and but there are a lot of recreation outdoor resources for like large chessboards. There's a lot of outdoor games and outdoor resources. I think a lot of the men do like the birds and particularly the vegetable gardening, but I do agree that, to have, a wide variety of, different outdoor opportunities is important. So I can look around and see what other alternatives there are for that, for outdoor recreation, leisure. And I can send through some ideas if you like. We have lots of catalogs that have a lot of outdoor, games, ideas, and the putting. There are some that you can purchase, and you putt it, and then it shoots the ball back to you. There are a lot of outdoor golf because it is popular. There's a lot of outdoor opportunities that are more that aren't as permanent, but that could be used. And now with the plan for the outdoor space having cement areas, it's a lot easier to do something like that because it provides a smooth spot and you lay out the long kind of golf track.
Yes.
But I can look and I'll send some through if you like.
Sure, and I've seen some of those putting that you can install indoors too. Like it's fairly safe, and you're not hitting the ball. It's really just putting. And I think that it would be good to look indoors as well, because I was describing some of the nooks, and it's, one can be more like office space, but we're obviously around the room, we were not experts and we're wondering about safety, but having some sort of tools, it feels like you can tinker with something, or even, some wood. And so for some of the nooks, to ensure that there's sort of a gender balance there in the types of opportunities. So great. So thank you. If you look at that, I thought that was good feedback.
I know that one home has I think it's St. Joseph's at Parkwood has an outdoor train. They have an outdoor train station.
Wow.
That's up, and above ground. It's quite nice, and it's pretty neat. It's all outdoors, and then in amongst that is horticulture therapy. So anyway, that's just food for thought as well.
Wow.
That's cool.
Neat.
Yeah.
So as far as the media and advertising, I don't think we have anything else planned other than our, so what's going to go through the Elmer Express and how we repurpose that for social media. So if you have any other suggestions at any time, we don't have to wait till the next meeting, but if you see other publications that we should be contacting. But at this point, that's what we have. The posters are still available, so if you need any, we'll continue to put them up.
How is the German posters coming?
We're very, very close. So the question around the German poster, so we had the first version from Elmer Express, we sent it for proofreading, it came back with a number of suggestions and revisions. Aylmer Express has done all the edits, so I sent it back just to be absolutely safe, because there were quite a number of small edits, but just to make sure that all the edits are captured. So we should be, yeah, we're very close. So, and Mr. Wall apologized for the delay. It took a little bit of time to find someone who had time to review and make all of the suggestions. So everybody's doing this from the corner of their desk, so it's great. We're very grateful, but yes, good question. So I'm for sure we'll have them, if not earlier, we'll have them for the next meeting. So we'll be able to bring some of the copies, and if not, I can always drop some off and with you, Jamie, or anyone else. Excellent. So there's nothing today to approve, or we don't need any motions. We can move to donor recognition. Last Friday, we had a couple, so we had a couple of larger donors, so Knights of Columbus and who did we have, Catherine? West Elgin Insurance, correct? And so West Elgin, if you recall, bought the remainder of all the benches to the tune of almost $4,000. So we now have a really big check. That's sort of a whiteboard, like erasable surface. So we're able to write the name of the donor with the amount and take a picture with the proper distance, and it looks really, really good. That was again produced and donated by Aylmer Express. So we're grateful for that. And so Rob Perry from Aylmer Express was there for the photos. And so was Catherine. So we have our own version, but yeah, I think it will look very good moving forward. So any kind of donor recognition, will be able to bring that check. So it's sitting at my house. Anyone needs it, or next time we do a bit of donor recognition. It's nice to organize them and sort of in one time. And so it was very efficient. 10 minutes, we were done. And so thank you, Catherine, for organizing that. And so we still have a few. The availability was not the best, so we still have a few donors who we want to recognize. So we'll do another one, and especially while the weather is still nice, we can do.
What kind of benches are they planning?
Pardon me?
What kind of benches are they planning to buy? Like,
I mean, ultimately, we're buying the
Yeah,
benches,
yeah.
right? But I think it's for, and Tanya, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the remainder of all the outdoor
yeah, what is it?
benches. I don't know which model exactly we're going to settle in. I know we're,
Just wanted the wooden ones, sometimes don't last, the wood.
yeah.
know?
Yeah, so I think it's more I don't know if they call the polywood or whatever, made of recycled plastic. It kind of looks
Yeah.
like wood, but
Yeah.
very, very durable. Is that where the direction we're heading?
Auxiliary bought chairs, that was what
Yeah,
yeah.
so, yeah, I'm seeing nods from Michelle and Tanya, so definitely. So they are a little bit more expensive, but
Yeah, but
for sure
they last,
durable.
weather, yeah.
And, yeah, because you can leave them obviously outdoors year round and easier to clean and maintain and don't fly in the wind. So they're very heavy. So yeah, so we're getting there.
How long are they, the benches? Are they 4 feet, 6 feet?
I don't know if we've gone that far in terms of sourcing them. And I'm curious also, is it, will it be worthwhile to purchase some of them early, or do we want to wait? Like, do you need some? Could the residents benefit from the benches now? What are your thoughts? I don't know if you've gone that far as the details of the size.
Where was it
I
we
think
had them made, those chairs?
The ones at the front are quite nice. Was it the auxiliary that purchased them? They're very nice. I know that one of the when I was looking up just some examples of the benches, one of the issues was the accessibility and making sure that they had, the arms, and some of them can even have an arm in the middle. It just makes it easier for people to stand up and sit down with support. there's quite a few options out there. Some are longer, some, especially with the accessibility in mind.
And just around the question of the, how long are they? So that is, I could go back to our drawings, but that's all been sort of incorporated into the courtyard plan. So there's a little area that juts out from the path. So it's not sitting, the bench isn't sitting directly on the path. So there's a little area specific for the benches. So I can look and see whether that's a 4-foot or a 6-foot bench, if that's important. And then just a great question. Do we need them now? And I think probably not quite yet, because our courtyard space is limited because a lot of the work is being done in the courtyard. So and that the little areas where they're going to sit aren't in place. So we don't want to take away from their courtyard space yet. But I think, once we get into year 3, that's a good time to have some conversations, because the secure unit courtyard will be complete after year 2. So that would be a great opportunity to have some of those purchased and put into place then. So, but that's great. I'm glad people are thinking ahead.
Would the committee, for some of the items, such as the benches, would the committee like for staff to come to the committee with a proposal that these are the benches we're buying, this is what they're made of, this is the size? Like, would you like to review some before we buy these? It's a lot of money, and you have a lot of experience.
Chairs that we got
Crone Furniture out of Eden.
out of Eden.
Yeah. But we bought them through Woodpecker on Walker Side Road.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But Cron made them?
Yeah.
We might get them cheaper going directly to Cron.
It's just nice to, work with local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Eden's not like Eden's still.
When the auxiliary
Elgin.
bought the chairs, we had approached Mr. Cron regarding making benches. And he said that it's too time consuming. But if we needed a large quantity, maybe it would pay to go and see him, because he was the one that built the ones in the front yard, the circle.
Right.
And he donated them on behalf of his mother at that time. But my question was, how long are they going to be? I was going to go to the high school and see if the woodworking shop would be interested in building the sunshades.
Right.
And also, if they have a drafting class, maybe the drafting class could draw up the prints to make the sunshades. But I thought if I knew roughly how long they were going to be, then I could say, okay, then we need them this long. You design it, let us check the design, and then maybe the students could build them and then assemble them at the home as a community project.
Good idea.
Any thoughts? So those are the shades for the benches.
Yes.
Right? And so the idea is to have not all benches would have them, but a few, is that right? So did you have something in mind? Do you think that could be a potential avenue to get those made? Did you picture them or had a plan for them to be made out of wood? I would imagine.
Do you want them wood or metal?
Or metal, so was there a plan? Do you have something in mind, or how could we coordinate this? Because I think that's a really neat idea to involve, the community and multiple generations.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, go ahead, Tanya.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I think first step is I probably need to just reach out to the architect to just double check on the plan to see what the length of those benches is going to be. It's important that the benches themselves are going to be durable and made of material that's long lasting and easy to wipe and clean, especially with all of our infection prevention and control COVID precautions that we're doing, and something that's not going to splinter, that type of stuff. But the sunshades, I don't recall any specific conversation about that, but I can certainly reach out to our architect too to see what they would be recommending through the consultant we're utilizing. That's something I can definitely bring back. But what a neat idea to have intergenerational involvement in the project and from that aspect. So great suggestion.
Anything to add, Tanya?
All I was gonna add was, originally looking through, they had come up as an item that just would be beneficial for the residents. 'Cause often when they're sitting on a bench, there's a lot of sun, obviously in the courtyard areas. So, they aren't as easy to find. So a lot of times they're like a cover for a barbecue size, obviously specific to the bench, but so having them made would be quite nice. They could be more specific for that purpose. But the ones that I had looked at were metal. They weren't wood. But again, I'm sure, those were just the ones that I viewed on online catalogs. As if we're having them made, then I agree that the architect may have a lot of experience in those sort of items. But
Okay, so
I
we'll
think the
note
residents really
an
like it.
action, thank you for that. So we'll note an action item for between Michelle and Tanya to get the specification. And then we'll bring that back and then you could take that to the high school for a discussion. And then they can see if they can get involved. Yeah, Jamie?
I was just thinking, you were talking about the woodworking. Do they still have welding classes at the high school?
I'm not sure.
Because if they did, even if they were metal, they could still make them.
And I was thinking
Nation.
if they were wood, then we could approach Home Hardware Lumber Yard and Rona in Springfield to see if they would supply the lumber.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and make them like, as you said, the whole community hands-on.
And if they were metal, maybe we could go to Canada Steel out of London to see if they would supply the steel.
Yep. Okay, so the first action item is to get the specification. So what are the materials? What is the design?
Right.
And then as soon as we have that, then we'll pursue. Jim?
Another option metal-wise would be to go to the White family, who make the metal trusses.
Right.
Would be another option.
But Chuck's welding too, they're all,
Yeah.
yeah, he can
Metal.
build anything.
Excellent.
Metal can be somewhat pricey, well, lumber is now too.
But yeah,
Or,
Yes.
yeah, and it may be a combination. Excellent. Okay, so we'll get that materials list and then we'll see who can donate the materials and then who can actually build them. And hopefully get as many people involved, because that would be nice too, because it's not just about, getting the items, it's also getting involved and doing it as a community. So thank you for that. Great idea. So last time we reviewed a draft of the brochure, so I did send it to Elmer Express as a request. And so I've put in your suggestions and so I haven't heard back if that's something that they're able to do for us. We don't need a large quantity. I think we agreed on that. But, and by all means, we can approach other printers. I just, we sort of had agreed that I would give them first right of refusal since they have been our design and printing partner from the beginning. So, so they just delivered the check, the big check. And so I said, well, on to the next request. So we'll see, but this will get done. And I figured it wasn't as time sensitive, like it's not tied to a Christmas campaign so we can give them a little bit of time. But by all means, I think we need to move forward. And so I'll bring back a draft, when we have a proof to review to see if everybody is still okay with that. So that's still underway. Other strategy I wanted to bring up to the committee for your thoughts. Couple of events that it's nice first off that there are some community events. There've been a couple of music festivals in the county and that I was able to get to. I noticed so Elgin County had a booth. Typically that booth is, to promote tourism across the county, but I think very wisely, the staff have also added other components. For example, right now the county's reviewing the official plan, and there's feedback, and there's opportunities for feedback. There've been other surveys on the roads master plan or transportation master plan. So staff had, and the county booth had, different flyers and different cards to hand out and to promote things beyond tourism and economic development. So I thought, what if we also had our Terrace Lodge, fundraising? We have those boards that were made, and then we work with staff. But I would also, ideally, if there was a committee member who could go and be there for a couple of hours, and so that we would not be passing this on to staff. But I think there could be an opportunity to piggyback, because I understand, and Catherine, correct me if I'm wrong, but that often those events, there's a fee to have a booth. So I don't think, even as Terrace Lodge, we can't just show up and set up shop at the venue. But so I thought, like, in the fall, there might be other, like, markets or other events, other fairs. There are some fairs that are taking place.
I
And
think
so,
the Saxonians has a Christmas market.
so maybe a Christmas market, yeah?
I think they do.
So we could work it, so I wanted to run that by the committee just to see in general as a strategy, if you think that's a viable strategy, if you're willing, between all of us to see if you're available to go and attend and be at the booth and promote. We can hand out, we can make more like photocopies of the poster, for example. And if that's the case, then we could talk to our staff or economic development, see what events they're planning on attending, where they've already paid for a booth, and if they would be willing to have us along. And so we could get more information, because they probably have a list of all the different events. What are your thoughts? See a couple of nods. General endorsement. And Catherine, you think that you work with the team before? Do you think that's something, even if we're not there the whole time, they'd be willing, if we brief them on the key talking points of the campaign, that's something that's doable?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. And I did briefly talk to them, and they have events are sort of winding down. They only have a few that are actually pinned down that they are going to go to, but events do come up, and they're always reevaluating what they're going to. So they may still be going to more things in the fall, and they'll definitely be going to events next spring, summer, and fall. So I'm sure that they would be happy to do that.
Right, so that's a strategy we can pursue, for the next couple of years, so for the length of the campaign. Okay, great. Yeah, thumbs up from Jim and nods for everybody else. So great. So we'll see. So if you come across other events that perhaps the county is not planning on attending, I think, by email in between meetings, if you want to suggest anything, we can always look into if there is a cost. And then make sure you have the materials you need, like I figure like just an easel with our board and a few posters or flyers, and make sure that you're equipped. So, and if there's a fee, we could always consider, I mean, sometimes it may be worthwhile if the fee's not too outrageous. I mean, you compare that with the cost of an ad that is often, in the hundreds of dollars. So it could be worthwhile to pay the fee for some events if we know it's going to be well attended. So excellent. So we'll add that to our strategies. And it would be nice to be out again too. Be out in the community, since we've been confined to just one-on-one conversations up until now. Anything else on strategies or? Do you feel you have all the updates? I want to make sure everybody feels up to date and everything that's going on. Any new business? think of anything right now. So if that's the case, then I'm happy to entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss specific donors. Jamie? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so we're back in open session. The next item on the agenda is our next meeting. So are you okay with keeping, so now we're at I know we moved this meeting from the third Monday to the fourth Monday because of the election. Do you want to keep that as the pattern, like the last Monday of the month? It might work well, let's see, in terms of, so we would have 2 meetings left this year. And so what would that be for the next month? And based on comments earlier, also, we'll try to make sure, maybe consider an evening meeting for the next one to see if that's more accessible.
If we went with the last Monday in October, we would have October 25th.
Is that a council? I remember we have to make sure we're not in sync with
Our council
Elmer.
meetings are changing to Wednesdays.
Oh, okay. So Elmer council meetings are moving to Wednesdays, okay. And so, don't know about Central Elgin.
Central Elgin is second and fourth.
So that would be the 25th, wouldn't it? The 4th and so that would affect, if we go for the evening, then that would affect Fiona. Well, let's, I know I'm away on the 18th and I would hesitate to, and then the 11th is Thanksgiving. And then that pushes into November. So I would prefer the 25th, but we can canvass again, all members to see if morning or evening, like which would get the most, or even afternoon. Is that a possibility? Are all 3 times of the day possible for all of you? I mean, that would,
Yeah, that's what I'm checking.
yeah, okay.
So,
Tanya and Michelle, that if we go into the evening, is that okay? That's a possibility, thank you.
yeah, I can't do the morning that day, so afternoon or evening.
Okay. So let's agree on the 25th of October, and it will be either afternoon or evening. We'll canvass other members of the committee. And in the meantime, by all means, if you think and you meet anyone else that you might not only talk about a donation, but also talk about considering joining us on the committee, because it is the best committee to be part of. It's the most fun. And anyone who's not on this committee is missing out. So yes, sometimes you can use the old tactics of, do you know someone who might be interested in joining the committee? So yeah, I think it is time to add extra hands, extra ideas, and fresh motivation. So if there is nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting. Tim? Kate? All in favor? Carried. Thank you again. Got quite a few action items as usual, so we'll get moving on that and see you next month.